Did medieval hearts yearn for love so fiercely they turned to forbidden brews? Were secret ingredients whispered over bubbling cauldrons truly the key to unlocking another's affection, or even their undying devotion? Travel back to the medieval era, a time when the lines between medicine, magic, and sheer desperation blurred, to uncover the truth behind potions that promised eternal love, or something very much like it. Number 8. The Mandrake Root Potion. Deep in the shadowy corners of medieval folklore, few ingredients held as much mystique and dread as the mandrake root. This plant, with its gnarled, often humanoid shape, was not merely an herb. It was a living entity, imbued with a potent, sometimes terrifying, magic. For those desperate enough to seek an unbreakable bond of love, the Mandrake Potion represented the ultimate, yet most perilous enchantment. The very act of obtaining mandrake was steeped in myth and danger. Legend held that when the root was pulled from the earth, it would emit a piercing shriek, a sound so agonizingly loud it could kill anyone who heard it directly. This chilling belief fueled elaborate rituals for harvesting. Common method involved a hungry dog tied to the plant by a cord. Food would be placed just out of reach, prompting the dog to strain, pulling the root free. The dog, it was believed, would perish from the scream, sparing the human harvester. Such was the perceived power of the mandrake that practitioners went to extreme lengths, sometimes even bleeding the earth around the plant before its extraction, as if to appease its spirit. This grim prelude set the tone for any potion derived from its essence. This was not light magic, but a plunge into the deep, unpredictable currents of ancient power. Once harvested, the mandrake root was carefully prepared. It was often dried slowly, sometimes in the smoke of specific woods, then ground into a fine powder. This powder was the heart of the mandrake love potion. To this, various liquids would be added, most commonly strong wine or a dark ale, as these were believed to draw out the root's most potent properties. Sometimes, for a more personalized or powerful connection, other elements might be introduced. A single drop of the potion maker's own blood, or perhaps even a sliver of fingernail, or a strand of hair from the person desiring the love. These personal touches were thought to forge an unbreakable sympathetic link, drawing the target directly to the source of the affection. The mixing was often done under specific astrological alignments, perhaps a new moon for new beginnings or a full moon for heightened power, accompanied by whispered incantations that invoked ancient spirits or deities associated with love and compulsion. The air would be thick with the weight of intention. Every stirring of the spoon, a prayer for the potion's success. Administering the Mandrake Potion was always a clandestine affair. Given its notorious reputation and potent effects, it was rarely offered openly. Instead, a tiny amount of the powdered root or a few drops of the infused liquid would be secretly slipped into the target's food or drink. Cup of wine at a feast, a morsel of bread shared during a quiet moment, or even a nightly draught of ale could become the vessel for this powerful magic. The potion maker had to be exceptionally cautious, for the line between a binding enchantment and a devastating poison was frighteningly thin. The amount was minuscule, a mere speck, yet the medieval belief in its power meant even the smallest dose carried immense significance. The intent was to ensnare, to subtly infiltrate the target's being without their knowledge, ensuring the potion's effect would be seen as a natural, overwhelming surge of feeling rather than an external imposition. The believed effects of the Mandrake Potion were nothing short of blah, promising an intense, all-consuming love that bordered on obsession. Those who drank it were thought to fall into a state of powerful, irresistible attraction, their will bending completely to the potion giver. Tales spoke of targets becoming utterly devoted, unable to think of anyone else, their very being consumed by an inexplicable longing for the one who had administered the brew. Sometimes the effects were described as a deep, trance-like sleep, during which the target would dream of the potion giver, awakening with a newfound powerful affection. Other accounts spoke of recipients experiencing vivid hallucinations, their minds filled with visions of the desired person, blurring the lines between reality and enchantment. The potency of the mandrake was such that it was also believed to induce a kind of madness, a love so overwhelming it verged on derangement, causing the target to abandon all reason for the sake of their newfound devotion. For some, this was the desired outcome. A love so powerful, it transcended all societal norms and personal boundaries. Historically, the mandrake's reputation as a powerful magical plant stretched back to antiquity, permeating folklore and medicinal texts throughout the medieval period. It was mentioned in ancient Roman and Greek texts as both a narcotic and a love charm. In medieval Europe, the plant was deeply intertwined with witchcraft and sorcery, often depicted in illuminated manuscripts and herbal remedies. Tales of its use, both successful and catastrophic, circulated widely. Some historical accounts alluded to trials of accused witches, where mandrake was cited as an ingredient in their dark concoctions, further cementing its sinister reputation. The desperateness of medieval life, with its arranged marriages, unrequited loves, and limited personal freedoms, drove many to seek out such potent, dangerous remedies. A scorned lover, a forgotten spouse, or a yearning individual might risk everything, even their soul, for the promise of a love so powerful it could not be denied. The belief in mandrake's ultimate power was a reflection of the profound human desire to control destiny, even if it meant dabbling in forces beyond their full comprehension. The stories passed down through generations, warned of its dangers, yet its allure remained, a testament to the enduring power of hope and desperation in the pursuit of love. Number 7. The Cantharides, Spanish fly, potion. Among the array of medieval love potions, Cantharides, more commonly known as Spanish fly, stood out for its notorious reputation as an aphrodisiac that promised to ignite fiery passion. Unlike the subtle enchantments of herbal brews, Spanish fly was believed to provoke an intense, almost uncontrollable physical desire. Its use was widespread, yet its true nature remained a dangerous secret, often masked by the desperation of those who sought its potent effects. Key ingredient in this potion was the dried and powdered bodies of certain blister beetles, primarily Lytta vesicatoria, native to southern Europe. These iridescent green beetles were known for secreting a defensive chemical compound called cantharidin, which upon contact causes severe blistering of the skin and mucous membranes. It was this very irritating property that gave the substance its supposed aphrodisiacal power. The beetles would be carefully collected, often in early summer, then dried whole before being ground into a fine, often iridescent powder. The preparation was precise, for too much could be fatal, and too little would yield no effect. The charlatans and cunning women who dealt in such substances often guarded their knowledge fiercely, claiming ancient secrets and mystical origins for their deadly wares. The powder itself, often a dull gray-green, was typically mixed with other, more palatable substances to mask its acrid taste and hide its true nature. Administering Cantharides was a delicate and often deceitful act. The powdered beetle was usually mixed into sweet wine, mead, or honeyed drinks, as the sweetness helped to disguise the irritant and the strong flavor. Sometimes it was incorporated into spiced foods, like a stew or a rich pastry, where its presence would be less detectable. Quantity used was typically very small, a mere pinch, yet this tiny amount was believed to be sufficient to set the target's body ablaze with desire. The giver would watch anxiously, hoping for the desired effect while secretly dreading the potential for a more severe reaction. This was a potion often used in scenarios of desperate, unrequited love, or by those seeking to reignite a dwindling marital flame. It was also, unfortunately, a tool of seduction and coercion, given covertly to individuals who would then experience intense physiological responses that were misinterpreted as overwhelming attraction. The believed effects of the Cantharides potion centered entirely on the body's physical response. Those who consumed it were thought to experience a sudden, intense surge of warmth, a tingling sensation throughout their body, and a heightened awareness of physical sensation. Primary effect, and the one that made it so sought after, was its reputed ability to induce strong, prolonged erections in men and a significant increase in physical arousal in women. This physiological response, caused by the cantharidin irritating the genitourinary tract and causing inflammation and increased blood flow to the pelvic region, was interpreted by medieval minds as a powerful, undeniable rush of sexual desire. People believed the potion was directly causing the love and lust, rather than a painful and potentially dangerous internal irritation. The recipient might feel flushed, their heart might race, and they might experience a burning sensation, all of which were tragically mistaken for the undeniable urges of love and passion. This raw, physical reaction was precisely what users desired, a love potion that operated on the carnal level, forcing a physical connection where emotional connection might be lacking. Historically, Cantharides has a long and infamous history, stretching back to ancient Roman and Greek times, where it was already known for its aphrodisiac properties. Throughout the medieval period, its use persisted despite the severe and often fatal consequences. Physicians and apothecaries of the time, while often unaware of the precise chemical mechanisms, documented its potent effects and also its dangers. There were numerous historical accounts, often found in medical treatises or legal records, of individuals suffering severe bladder pain, kidney damage, internal bleeding, and even death after consuming the substance. Yet its reputation as a love drug continued, driven by the intense social pressures of the time and the relentless pursuit of physical intimacy. Tales of nobility, courtesans, and desperate lovers employing Spanish fly circulated widely, cementing its place in the lore of forbidden potions. It was a stark example of how deeply people yearned for control over love and desire, even if it meant venturing into the treacherous waters of potent, often deadly substances. The enduring belief in its power, despite the clear and present dangers, speaks volumes about the desperate measures people would resort to for passion in an era where control over one's own desires, let alone another's, was often an elusive dream. Number 6. The Dove's Blood Potion. In the realm of medieval love magic, where intentions ranged from gentle affection to desperate obsession, the Dove's Blood Potion emerged as a symbol of pure, enduring love, quite distinct from the darker, more coercive concoctions. Associated with innocence, fidelity, and the goddess Venus herself, the dove was believed to hold a sacred essence, and its blood, when infused into a potion, was thought to inspire a love that was deep, true, and lasting. The central ingredient, of course, was the fresh blood of a dove, typically a white dove, which symbolized purity and peace. This choice of animal was no accident. Doves had been venerated across cultures for millennia as emblems of love and fidelity. The act of obtaining the blood was itself a ritual, often performed with reverence and specific prayers as if to channel the gentle spirit of the bird into the potion. The dove was not simply killed. It was often offered as a sacrifice, with the blood collected in a pristine vessel, perhaps a crystal goblet or a silver bowl, to maintain its purity. To this precious blood, other ingredients were carefully added to enhance its loving properties. Rosewater, distilled from the petals of the most romantic flower, would be included for its fragrance and association with beauty and affection. Honey, a symbol of sweetness and abundance, would be added to ensure the love fostered by the potion was pleasant and rich. Sometimes, a pinch of powdered pearl or ground amber might be incorporated, not only for their believed magical properties of purity and attraction, but also to signify the preciousness and enduring nature of the desired love. The mingling of these elements was done gently, often under the light of the moon, with soft incantations whispered over the mixture, focusing on the desired outcome of a tender, faithful affection. Administering the dove's blood potion was typically a subtle and intimate affair. Unlike potions meant to overwhelm, This was designed to gently coax the heart. A few drops would be added to a glass of fine wine, a cup of mead, or even a sweet dessert, like a custard or a fruit tart. The idea was to imbue the target's sustenance with the essence of love, so that with every sip or bite, their heart would slowly, almost imperceptibly, turn towards the giver. It was often given to a beloved spouse to strengthen their bond, or to a potential suitor, to encourage genuine affection rather than mere lust. The maker of the potion would often share the drink or food, making it a shared experience, reinforcing the idea of a mutual bond being forged. The secrecy was not born of malice, but of the desire to allow love to blossom naturally, or at least to appear to without the recipient, realizing a magical influence was at play. This discretion was key, as it allowed the natural unfolding of affection to be celebrated. The believed effects of the dove's blood potion were centered on fostering a profound and lasting emotional connection. Those who consumed it were thought to experience a softening of their heart, a growing tenderness towards the giver, and an awakening of deep, pure affection. It was believed to inspire fidelity, to ensure that the recipient's heart remained true and devoted, untouched by the temptations of others. The love it created was not envisioned as a wild, uncontrollable passion, but rather a gentle, unwavering devotion. Like the lifelong bond between doves, it was thought to bring peace and harmony to a relationship, deepening existing affections and creating a sense of calm contentment. People believed that it could mend fractured relationships, heal old wounds, and ensure a lifetime of faithful companionship. The potion was considered to imbue the qualities of the dove itself, purity, loyalty, and a gentle spirit, transferring these virtues to the heart of the beloved. Historically, the symbolism of the dove as a creature of love and peace is ancient and crosses many cultures. In medieval Europe, the dove was a strong symbol of Venus, the Roman goddess of love, as well as being associated with purity and the Holy Spirit in Christian iconography. This dual symbolism made dove's blood a potent ingredient for love magic that sought a higher form of affection. Records from medieval herbalists and magical texts sometimes mention the use of animal blood in various preparations, often with specific animal parts, associated with specific outcomes, while concrete citations for a specific dove's blood potion might be rare in popular literature. The underlying beliefs in sympathetic magic, in the transfer of animal characteristics, and in the power of blood as a life force were deeply ingrained in the medieval worldview. People sought such remedies in times of unrequited love, or when a marriage was suffering from neglect. The prevalence of courtly love literature, emphasizing pure and noble affection, likely also influenced the desire for potions that mirrored these ideals, making the dove's blood potion a beacon of hope. For those seeking a more spiritual and enduring connection, it speaks to a softer, more romantic side of medieval magical practice, where the aim was not to compel through force, but to inspire through purity. Number 5. The Vervain Potion. Amidst the rugged landscapes and bustling villages of medieval Europe, many plants were revered not just for their medicinal qualities, but for their inherent magical properties. Among these, vervain, often called the herb of grace or holy herb, held a special place. While widely known for its protective qualities, warding off evil and enchantment, vervain was also a cornerstone in love magic, believed to draw affection, strengthen bonds, and ensure fidelity. The vervain potion was thus a gentle yet powerful brew, seeking to foster stable and pure affection rather than overwhelming passion. The essential ingredient was naturally the vervain plant itself. Medieval practitioners would carefully gather the leaves, stems, and flowers, often at specific auspicious times of the year, such as the summer solstice or during a waxing moon, when its magical energies were believed to be at their peak. Plant was sought out in pure, unblemished places, perhaps a quiet meadow or by a flowing stream, reinforcing its association with purity. Once gathered, the vervain would typically be steeped in pristine spring water, sometimes left to infuse under the gentle glow of moonlight, which was thought to imbue it with calming and loving energies. Other complementary ingredients were occasionally added to enhance its specific love-drawing properties. Rose petals, for their classic association with love and beauty, might be included, or perhaps myrtle, a plant sacred to Venus, the goddess of love. Honey for sweetness, and to ensure the love would be pleasant and harmonious, was also a common addition. The mixing was often accompanied by quiet, heartfelt incantations, not for compulsion, but for the flourishing of genuine affection, for the weaving of hearts together in a bond of peace and understanding. The intent was crucial, a gentle coaxing of destiny rather than a forceful command. Administering the vervain potion was typically a subtle and benevolent act. It was often prepared as a tea which could be openly offered, perhaps as a soothing tonic, allowing the recipient to consume it willingly. Alternatively, it might be sprinkled discreetly on the intended person's clothing, especially their undergarments, or on their bed linens, allowing the essence of the herb to infuse their personal space and subtly influence their feelings. Some practitioners even suggested adding it to bathwater, turning a cleansing ritual into an act of love-drawing. The subtle nature of its application reflected its perceived effects. It was not about creating sudden, overpowering lust, but about cultivating a deeper, more stable affection. It was a potion often used within existing relationships to strengthen love and fidelity, or by someone hoping to draw a gentle, pure love into their life from an admired individual. The goal was to nurture and protect love, much like vervain protected against negative influences. The believed effects of the vervain potion were multifaceted, focusing on the stability and purity of affection. Those who used it hoped to draw genuine love and affection from the person they desired, creating a bond based on mutual respect and tender feeling. It was also widely believed to protect an existing relationship, safeguarding it from external influences, rivals, and even internal discord. Potion was thought to promote fidelity, ensuring that the beloved's heart remained true and unwavering. It was seen as a charm against straying affections, binding the couple together in a lasting union. Unlike other potions that aimed for fiery passion, vervain was believed to foster a calm, steady devotion, a love that would endure the test of time and trials. It was also considered to bring peace and harmony to a household, resolving petty quarrels and fostering a loving atmosphere. The vervain potion was not a quick fix for desperate lust, but a long-term investment in a loving and committed relationship. Historically, vervain has a rich and ancient history, revered by Celts, Romans, and later by medieval Christians who associated it with the Passion of Christ due to a legend that it was used to staunch Christ's wounds. This sacred association further cemented its reputation as a powerful, blessed herb. In medieval herbal lore, it appeared in numerous texts, often listed for its medicinal properties, such as treating headaches or fevers, alongside its magical uses. Its protective qualities were widely recognized, and it was often hung in homes or worn as an amulet to ward off evil spirits and enchantment. Transition from a protective herb to a love-drawing one was a natural progression, as love itself needed protection and nurturing. Medieval folk magic was deeply intertwined with daily life, and remedies for matters of the heart were as common as those for physical ailments. For those seeking a pure and enduring love, or wishing to safeguard their existing affection, the vervain potion offered a hopeful, gentle, and respected magical solution. Rooted in the deep-seated beliefs about the earth's benevolent powers, it represented a desire for a love that was not only passionate, but also peaceful, loyal, and protected by ancient blessings. Number 4. The Bat's Blood Potion. While some medieval love potions aimed for gentle affection or pure devotion. Others delved into darker, more unsettling realms, promising to compel love through fear and obsession. Among these, the bat's blood potion stood as a chilling testament to desperate measures embodying the raw, untamed forces of night and shadow. It was a concoction not for the faint of heart, promising to twist the will of the beloved, making them utterly consumed by a twisted, almost demonic affection for the potion maker. The primary and most disturbing ingredient was, as the name suggests, bat's blood. Bats themselves were creatures of superstition in the medieval imagination, associated with night, darkness, and the underworld, often seen as familiars of witches or harbingers of misfortune. To use their blood in a potion was to invoke these sinister associations. The blood was often collected under specific eerie conditions, beneath a new moon in a desolate place, like a crumbling ruin or a graveyard, sometimes even from a bat caught and sacrificed during a specific unholy hour. This grim collection ensured the blood was imbued with the desired dark potency. To this, other equally unsettling ingredients would be added: graveyard dirt, symbolizing death and dominion over the dead, or perhaps powdered bone from an animal for a connection to the skeletal primal essence. More ominously, the blood might be mixed with potent psychoactive herbs like henbane or belladonna, known for their hallucinogenic and deliriant effects, further blurring the lines between magic and madness. Opium poppies might be included to induce a dreamlike state or a deep vulnerable sleep. The preparation of such a potion was itself a dark ritual, often performed in secret, with guttural incantations and invocations to forces of darkness or malevolent spirits, channeling their power to force the beloved's will. Administering the bat's blood potion was always a clandestine and dangerous act. The dark nature of its ingredients and intent meant it could not be openly given. Typically, a small amount of the concoction, perhaps a few drops of the dark liquid or a pinch of the powdered blend, would be secretly introduced into the target's food or drink. A dark wine or a heavily spiced dish might serve to mask its foul taste and unusual consistency. Sometimes it was not consumed directly, but sprinkled on the target's personal belongings, like their clothes or their bed, or even upon a threshold they would cross, ensuring the potion's dark influence permeated their life. The giver would then anxiously await the results, hoping for the desired obsessive love, but often fearing unintended, more horrifying consequences. This was a potion for those who had exhausted all other avenues, who sought to dominate rather than merely attract, and who were willing to risk the spiritual and physical well-being of their beloved and themselves for an ultimate twisted form of control. The believed effects of the bat's blood potion were centered on the complete psychological subjugation of the target. Those who consumed it were thought to fall into a state of intense, irrational obsession with the potion giver, their minds clouded and their wills bent. The love it induced was not a gentle affection, but a dark, consuming passion, often bordering on madness or derangement. The recipient might become confused, disoriented, or prone to vivid, unsettling dreams or hallucinations, which were interpreted as the potion drawing them into a powerful, inescapable bond with the giver. Their existing affections might wither, replaced by an uncontrollable, even violent yearning for the one who had administered the brew. It was believed to break down all resistance, making the target utterly subservient and unable to escape the giver's influence. This was a potion for those seeking ultimate control over another's heart and mind, even if it meant their descent into a love that was more like a curse. The very darkness of its ingredients was thought to ensure its potency, compelling love through a powerful, almost demonic force. Historically, the use of animal blood in various magical and medicinal preparations was common in the medieval period, but bat's blood specifically was often associated with darker forms of magic and witchcraft. Texts on demonology and treatises against sorcery sometimes mentioned ingredients like bat's blood in malevolent spells. The fear of witches and their supposed ability to control others through dark arts was prevalent, and potions like this were often cited as evidence of such powers. While there might not be widely published medieval love ballads celebrating a bat's blood potion, the underlying beliefs about sympathetic magic and the power of blood made such concoctions plausible within the medieval worldview. The desperate situations of unrequited love, combined with a deep belief in the tangible power of magic, could drive individuals to seek out such forbidden means. The risk of unintended side effects, such as insanity or even death, was a known yet often ignored danger. The bat's blood potion, therefore, stands as a stark reminder of the lengths to which individuals might go in pursuit of love, even if it meant embracing the darkest corners of medieval superstition. Number 3. The love apple. Tomato potion. In medieval Europe, the tomato, when it first arrived from the Americas, was not the beloved fruit we know today. It was initially viewed with profound suspicion, often feared as poisonous, due to its membership in the nightshade family and its vibrant, unusual color. Yet, as the centuries unfolded, this apprehension slowly transformed into fascination, and in some regions, the tomato earned a new enchanting moniker, the love apple. This shift opened the door for its use in love potions, offering a potion that promised not just affection, but an exquisite allure and passionate desire. The central ingredient, the ripe tomato, particularly the deep red varieties, was chosen for its vibrant color and succulent flesh. Once the fear of its toxicity began to wane, its very appearance, reminiscent of a blushing heart, lent itself to associations with love and desire. Preparation of a love apple potion often involved crushing the ripe tomatoes to extract their juices. This pulp or juice would then be infused with other elements to enhance its romantic properties. Sweet wine. Often a rich red vintage was a common base, believed to amplify the potion's warmth and allure. Warming spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, or cloves were frequently added, not just for flavor, but for their reputation as aphrodisiacs, believed to stir the blood and ignite passion. For an extra touch of potency, some recipes might even include a symbolic animal ingredient, such as the heart of a sparrow, a bird associated with lightness and freedom and love, or a small amount of dove's blood, as explored in another potion. The entire process was sometimes accompanied by chants, or prayers for beauty, charm, and overwhelming desire, often performed under the benevolent gaze of Venus, the goddess of love. Administering the love apple potion was typically an act of delicate offering, often in the guise of a special treat. The infused tomato juice or pulp might be baked into a sweet tart, a pastry, or even a spiced compote, making it an appealing and seemingly innocuous dish. It could also be blended directly into a sweet drink, like a fruit cordial or a dessert wine served during a romantic supper or a quiet tete-a-tete. The intention was to offer something delicious and inviting, allowing the love-drawing properties of the love apple to work their subtle magic. This potion was often employed by those who wished to enhance their allure, to make themselves more desirable and captivating to a potential lover, or to reignite the passionate spark in an existing relationship. The very act of sharing such a seemingly exotic and delightful fruit was believed to be a potent charm in itself, symbolizing the sharing of one's heart. The believed effects of the love apple potion revolved around the awakening of passionate desire and the amplification of the giver's allure. Those who consumed it were thought to experience a powerful surge of attraction, finding the potion giver suddenly and irresistibly charming, beautiful, or desirable. It was believed to make the recipient lustful and devoted, their senses heightened and their heart inflamed with a burning affection. Potion was thought to open the heart to deep passion, leading to fervent declarations of love and an intense yearning for intimacy. Unlike some other potions that sought to bind through obsession, the love apple potion was believed to inspire a more romantic and sensuous form of love, drawing the beloved closer through an irresistible charm and a shared sense of delight. It was meant to make the love sweet, enticing, and ultimately deeply satisfying. Historically, the journey of the tomato from a feared foreign plant to a love apple is a fascinating testament to changing perceptions and the integration of new elements into existing magical frameworks. When tomatoes were introduced to Europe in the 16th century, though their widespread adoption for food was later, they were initially cultivated as ornamental plants, partly due to lingering suspicions about their edibility. However, in certain regions, particularly in France, their vibrant red color and suggestive shape led to them being called pommes d'amour, or love apples. This folkloric association then bled into popular belief and inevitably into magical practices. While specific citations for a widespread love apple potion in medieval grimoires might be less common than for, say, Mandrake, the cultural context of integrating new exotic plants into existing magical pharmacopoeias is well documented. The desire for passionate love was universal, and the love apple offered a seemingly benevolent and beautiful means to achieve it, contrasting with the darker, more dangerous alternatives. It reflected a growing openness to new natural elements and the enduring human hope that even the most ordinary of things could hold extraordinary power when touched by belief and intention. Number 2. The human element, potion. Among the various approaches to medieval love magic, some practitioners turned to ingredients of a profoundly personal and visceral nature, believing that nothing could bind a heart more powerfully than an essence taken directly from the desired person, or from the person giving the love. The human element potion, therefore, was a potent, often disturbing concoction that drew upon the very essence of human being. Hair, nails, blood, or even sweat and tears to forge an unbreakable intimate bond through the principles of sympathetic magic. The ingredients for such a potion were as intimate as they were unsettling. A strand of hair, a clip of fingernail, a drop of menstrual blood, or even a bit of sweat or tears from the person who sought to give their love. These were not random choices. Each element was believed to carry the direct essence, the very vital energy of the individual. Hair and nails, being external yet personal, were easily obtainable and were thought to contain the individual's spirit or identity. Blood, especially menstrual blood, was considered exceptionally potent, representing life force, fertility, and a deep primal connection. Sweat and tears, though harder to collect, were seen as expressions of the body's inner workings and emotions. These deeply personal ingredients would then be combined with various herbs and liquids to amplify their effect. For instance, a desired person's hair might be mixed with rose petals for beauty, or vervain for fidelity, then steeped in wine or honeyed water. Preparation was always intensely personal and secret, often performed with a fervent, almost obsessive focus on the target. The ingredients might be ground into a fine powder or steeped whole, accompanied by detailed incantations that called upon the deepest bonds of human connection, aiming to merge the two individuals' destinies. Administering the human element, potion was, by its very nature, a clandestine and often deceptive act. Collected personal essence, typically in powdered or liquid form, would be secretly mixed into the target's food or drink. A favorite stew, a glass of wine, or a piece of bread could become the unwitting vessel for this powerful, intimate magic. The intention was to have the target unknowingly ingest a part of the giver's essence, or their own essence, mixed with the giver's intent, thereby creating an internal unbreakable link. Because of the often unpalatable nature of some of the ingredients and the sheer invasiveness of the act, it was paramount that the recipient remained ignorant of the potion's true contents. This potion was often employed by individuals in desperate situations. A scorned lover seeking revenge and control, a lonely individual longing for an unrequited love, or even a spouse attempting to ensure their partner's fidelity. The act of administering it was a profound invasion of personal space, yet for those consumed by love or obsession, it was seen as a necessary and powerful means to an end. The believed effects of the human element, potion were centered on creating an intensely personal and often inescapable bond. Those who consumed it were thought to become utterly bound to the potion giver, their will and affections deeply, often unhealthily, entangled. The magic was believed to work on a deeply visceral level, making the target unable to resist the giver's presence, constantly thinking of them, and feeling an overwhelming urge to be near them. In some cases, the effects were believed to be so strong that the target would lose interest in all others, becoming solely devoted to the potion giver. The love fostered was often described as possessive and obsessive, reflecting the invasive nature of the potion itself. It was thought to establish a profound, almost spiritual connection, a merging of essences that ensured an undying, though not necessarily healthy, devotion. The belief was that by consuming a part of another, or by having one's own essence mixed with a powerful magical intent, an unbreakable bond would be forged, making true love a certainty, even if it meant sacrificing autonomy. Historically, the practice of sympathetic magic, where a part stands for the whole, was deeply ingrained in medieval thought and magical practice. The use of personal effluvia, hair, nails, bodily fluids, in charms and spells was common across cultures and centuries, driven by the belief that these elements retained a powerful connection. Records of folk magic, charm books, and even legal documents from medieval times sometimes mentioned the use of such ingredients in both beneficial and harmful magic. The fear of witchcraft and its ability to influence individuals through such intimate means was widespread, leading to accusations and trials where such practices were detailed. While perhaps not always labeled a potion in the sense of a drink, the act of administering these elements with magical intent functioned in precisely the same way. The desperate societal context of medieval life, with its limited avenues for expressing individual desire or breaking from societal expectations, often pushed people to extreme lengths. The human element potion stands as a powerful, if unsettling, example of the deep human yearning for control over love and relationships, even at the cost of personal boundaries and ethical considerations, reflecting a profound belief in the power of the most intimate connections. Number 1. The Rose Potion. In the tapestry of medieval love magic, not all threads were woven with darkness and compulsion. Some were spun from the purest desires, aiming to coax affection rather than to command it. Among these, the Rose Potion stood as a testament to the enduring power of beauty, tenderness, and classical romance. The rose, a timeless emblem of love, beauty, and the goddess Venus, was believed to hold an intrinsic power to soften hearts and inspire genuine affection, making its potion a gentle yet potent enticement for desired love. Not just any rose, but often those gathered at specific times, like at dawn, when their petals were still dewy and their fragrance most potent, or under the soft glow of a full moon, believed to enhance their romantic properties. Different colors of roses might be chosen for nuanced intentions: red for passionate love, pink for tender affection, or white for pure devotion. The petals were carefully separated, ensuring they remained unblemished. To these delicate petals, other ingredients were thoughtfully added to complement and amplify their loving essence. Honey, symbolizing sweetness and pleasantness, was a common addition, ensuring the love fostered by the potion would be kind and harmonious. Fine wine, often a light and sweet vintage, served as the liquid base, believed to draw out the rose's properties and make the potion palatable and alluring. Sometimes, for a truly personal connection, a single drop of the potion maker's own blood, drawn without malice but with fervent desire, might be added, forging a sympathetic link without the darker implications. The blending of these ingredients was often a slow, deliberate process, accompanied by whispered incantations focused on warmth, affection, and the blossoming of true love rather than forced will. The maker's pure intent was considered as crucial as the ingredients themselves. Administering the rose potion was typically an act of subtle grace and invitation. Unlike potions meant to be hidden, the rose potion was often openly offered, disguised as a special treat or a delightful beverage. A glass of rose-infused wine, a sweet cordial, or a confection sprinkled with candied rose petals could serve as the vehicle. It might be presented during a quiet conversation, a shared meal, or a romantic evening, allowing the recipient to consume it willingly, perhaps even with a sense of enjoyment. The intention was not to trick, but to subtly influence, to nudge the heart of the beloved in the desired direction. This potion was often employed by those seeking to deepen an existing affection, to encourage a potential suitor to declare their love, or to resolve a misunderstanding in a gentle, loving way. The act of sharing something so beautiful and fragrant was itself part of the charm, symbolizing the sweetness of the love hoped for. The believed effects of the rose potion were centered on inspiring tender affection, promoting mutual understanding, and cultivating a deep, lasting love. Those who consumed it were thought to experience a softening of their heart, a growing fondness for the potion giver, and an awakening of sweet romantic sentiments. It was believed to draw the beloved closer through a gentle charm, making them more receptive to the giver's advances and more appreciative of their qualities. The love it created was not envisioned as a sudden, overwhelming passion, but rather a blossoming affection growing steadily and beautifully, much like a rose itself. It was thought to foster harmony, understanding, and a peaceful, devoted companionship. People believed it could mend minor disputes, enhance existing relationships, and ensure fidelity through a deepening of emotional bonds. The rose potion, with its inherent beauty and symbolism, was a beacon of hope for those seeking a love that was as pure and beautiful as the flower itself. Historically, the rose has been a symbol of love, beauty, and passion since antiquity, with its origins intertwined with classical mythology, especially the legends of Venus and Cupid. In medieval Europe, the rose was central to courtly love literature, where knights performed valorous deeds for their ladies. Often symbolized by a single rose, the garden of the rose became a metaphor for love itself. Medieval herbalists and alchemists recognized the rose's medicinal properties, such as for soothing skin or headaches, but also its powerful symbolic and magical associations. Rosewater was commonly used in perfumes, and for its calming properties. While there might not be specific medieval texts explicitly detailing a rose potion as a distinct entity, the use of rose petals, rose water, and rose ships in various love charms and remedies was wise ships and deeply rooted in folk magic and traditional practices. The belief in sympathetic magic, where the properties of a plant, its beauty, scent, thorns, durability, could be transferred to the human heart, was a cornerstone of this kind of magic. The rose potion, therefore, represents the more benevolent and romantic side of medieval love. Magic, a gentle yearning for affection rather than a forceful command, drawing on a universal symbol of endearing love. It speaks to the hope that love could be cultivated and nurtured, blossoming into something truly beautiful and lasting.